Welcome back to Not Another Nux podcast with your hosts Ajay and Harp, brought to you by Loudmouth Brewing. For the best beers and burgers in town, visit Loudmouth Brewing in Abbotsford. Holy shit, Ajay! What a crazy month has been for the Canucks.
Yeah.
Almost losing every game in the first 5 games, and then beating Ottawa straight, and then they just beat Winnipeg. Right? They seem like they're getting on a roll, but what a Jekyll and Hyde situation. What are your thoughts on how the season has started so far?
Um, uh, what are my thoughts? I I think where they are right now is where I expected them to be. When they lost two straight against Montreal, and basically Connect's Twitter just went ape shit, and everyone was just losing their minds.
Yeah.
Just we gotta trade this player, we gotta fire this guy. Just everyone was just losing their shit. I'm just like, guys, these guys haven't had proper preseason, and I'm not trying to make excuses. It's just what it is. And I know other teams, they also haven't had their like preseason or their kind of like routine, but each team is different, right? And sometimes the new additions fit in seamlessly, and I think that's what happened with Montreal, which is why they had such a great start. I think the additions that they've had really fit into their system and their players really well. Whereas with us, the fact that we never had a training camp preseason, the new additions needed time to kind of figure it out, right? And then just kind of watching the play and people even dogging Pedersen, oh man, this guy sucks and he's not playing well and this and that. When you actually watch the games, you can tell that these guys are just not playing how they normally play, right? And firing Benning was not going to do anything,
Yeah.
right? Like Fenning, like if we were to fire Benning and replace him with like some other guy, that's not going to make up for all these like passes that they just kept messing up or like the lack of a forecheck. They just needed to find a way to get back to their identity, which is playing hard nosed hockey, getting in on the forechecks, right? Like you saw it during the playoff run, that was their bread and butter, right?
Yeah.
Winning the puck battle, they just weren't doing that. They were just like lazy passes. They're so much passive play, and so when I was watching them, I was like, okay, they're not where they're not where they should be, but I know they can get there because they've got the pieces. Yeah, the loss of Tanev and Markstrom was big, but people like those contracts. There's no way that we could have signed to those contracts. So like that's a like like there's just no point in like bringing that up. So for me, just watching them, I'm just like, okay, these guys just need time to gel
Yeah.
and find a way to like work together and find their identity again. Um, and once they do that, I think they'll be fine. So I think I was a bit more level headed after those two games in Montreal, but talking to you, so like let's go back to that week because
Yeah.
that week was really interesting. Talking to you after the second loss against Montreal, you were livid,
I was
right? So
pissed off. Yeah.
so let's try to go back to that time. Tell me
Okay.
why you were so pissed off.
All right. You know what, man? I'm just gonna say for our listeners, I know we have quite a few listeners, and I don't really swear on this podcast, right? But it's kind of viewer discretion here. But fuck that noise, dude. I was so pissed off, right? I know you had such a mature approach from the get go, but I was starting fires on Twitter, man. I was so upset. PD looked like he just showed up without any energy. I understand,
Yeah,
there's no preseason, no nothing. Hindsight's 2020. We
yeah,
just beat Winnipeg, and the team looks great right now. It's gelling. But the thing is, you look at Miller. When he came back, everyone was so excited. He brought nothing back for the longest time. You could hear him swearing on the bench. It was so frustrating to see the team, because they couldn't even make that pass. And I was
yeah,
thinking, like, dude, okay, this is such a short year. Our first 5 games, we look like shit, right? We aren't doing anything. And then right away, even on Twitter, I wrote down, okay, who are we blaming now? Obviously, the Benning haters and the Gillis lovers stepped up, right? And then what's that scout? What's the scout's name that we lost to Minnesota? Judge
Judd
Brackett.
Brackett. Yeah,
Yeah, his name kept coming up, and everything was on fire, right? People were angry as shit. And I was one of those people. I kept blaming the coach. I kept blaming Baumgartner because I'm like, this defensive structure is so shit.
yeah,
We just got there's no way how when we faced Calgary, our team looked so slow, so bad. And Tanev outshone Schmidt, and even
yeah,
Myers and even
yeah.
Edler. I'm like, why is Tanev, who has regressed statistically for so long, and he's not worth the numbers that he got paid for?
No,
How is he outperforming Schmidt? And Schmidt's supposed to be one of our biggest guys. So I was pissed, right? I was calling for heads. I'm not gonna lie. I projected a lot of my, stress and anger from work and school onto
So
these guys.
so that week, were you on board with firing Benny?
No, no, I thought that was a little way too much, man. Like, what? No offense, but what is Benny gonna do? I thought his moves in
Yeah,
the offseason were good and very in line of the future.
yeah,
Yeah, we got some shit contracts right now, but what the fuck are we gonna do now?
yeah.
Like we can't get rid of them. Lou Eriks still on a taxi squad or the bus or whatever, right? Like that guy's just he's on a non-stop trip to who knows where,
Yeah.
right? And then I just thought that with especially with the shortened season and the draft coming so fast, it'd be stupid to lose Benning, especially when we have most of our picks this season, right?
Yeah.
But that being
Now,
said, I was questioning Gillis and especially Baumgartner. I've never liked our defensive structure. I never liked our
Gillis
cohesion. Sorry, not Gillis,
Green.
Greener, Greener, and
What the
Baumgartner.
hell did Gillis do?
Yeah, fuck Gillis too, man. That's a different situation. I'm so like seriously. People are talking about that guy again. That guy's drafting with shit. But anyways, I know he had some solid things too. But yeah, so I was actually wondering because I know Glance out there.
Yeah.
I know I know Aquilines don't have a lot of money right now, but I was started thinking, man, I'm like, dude, these guys are out there, and I started thinking about um the Blues and how we mentioned it in our last episode where they struggle so much on the year they in the beginning of the year where they won the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure they had a coaching change. So I'm like, is this it? Is this time? Or, are all the planets gonna align and we're gonna fucking fire Green, get Glandon, and then win the cup, right?
Yeah.
But hindsight is 2020, right? I did lose myself to emotions a bit. I was really excited for the season and really pissed off how we opened it up.
Yeah.
Our three games against Ottawa could not have come at a better time.
Hmm.
I am very happy that the whole Jekyll situation kind of ended, right?
Yeah.
And they got some stability because Ottawa is such a young and rebuilding team that even the Canucks, even they did struggle the first two games. I felt against Ottawa, they
Hmm.
did not have the best game.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they were able to kind of use Ottawa as a stepping stone to get to that identity and get to what they're used
Yeah.
to, right? And that was one of the biggest things for me. Um, just seeing how well Petey and Besser and Miller broke out in that series. Because the first two games it was like okay, whatever, but in the third game, you could really see their confidence back.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I think, like you said, Ottawa came at the perfect time, and it allowed them, while they were still making mistakes, like
Yeah,
they were still making a lot of defense mistakes, they were allowing a lot of shots,
yeah,
but I think it allowed them to kind of work on their game and kind of find their game, right? Because I
oh yeah,
feel like against Montreal, they were really squeezing their sticks and trying to make things happen when it just wasn't happening, right? They were not moving their feet or anything like that. So definitely Ottawa came at the right time. But
yeah,
for me though, like, and like why I was so, I guess, calm, like, don't get me wrong, I was frustrated by the losses, but
yeah,
I didn't lose sight of where we were. Like, granted, this is a shortened season, but because we're basically playing every game within the division,
yeah,
it's really easy to catch up.
mm,
Yeah, we might not win first, but as long as we're all kind of bunched up in the middle,
yeah,
each each game is basically a 4 point swing, right?
yeah,
So as long as we're kind of in the middle and not too far back, I was like, okay, like it's gonna take them some time to find their game, but once we do, we'll be fine. And that's kind of what's happening right now.
true, yeah,
So I think that's kind of why I wasn't so worried. And yeah, like you said, Ottawa came at the right time, and then watching them against Winnipeg, that was their most complete game
oh
from
yeah,
start to finish. Really solid. Like first period, they had to kind of weather the storm a bit, but
yeah,
after that, super solid period
oh
in
yeah,
the second, and then the third they just dominated. Like they didn't even like allow them. I think they had four shots. Jets did
oh yeah,
in the entire third period when they were down by two, which is a great sight to see. So tomorrow's a huge test for them against Montreal again. It's a
yeah.
back to back. I'm curious to see how things go with that, but that's kind of where my headspace is at. Like for me,
Yeah.
just stay in the middle and then just slowly just kind of claw your way up. That's all.
Yeah, now that I've calmed down a bit, right? So I absolutely agree now,
Yeah.
looking back. But the thing is this, if the Canucks were still playing like shit, right? Oh my God. If this was game 11 and they lost all the games against Ottawa and they lost them against Winnipeg, Twitter would be on fire. I'm pretty sure someone might have been fired by now if they lost all these games,
Well,
But I'm
yeah, no, like, but like Twitter was on fire after the Montreal. Like I was listening to JD Burke. He has a show Rink Wide on Saturdays,
Yeah.
and he was saying what Benny has done this season is managerial malpractice.
Yeah.
How insane is that after Game 6 to
Yeah.
say he's committing managerial malpractice?
Yeah.
Like this is insane. Like don't get me wrong, like JD Burke, he does a great job with prospects and stuff, and
Yeah.
I guess it's his job to kind of create sound bites and these like crazy takes to kind of get like listeners or whatever. But I don't know, man. Like it's just too much and like too early,
That's no, I agree. That's pretty
right?
intense. Even though I was calling for some heads, that's malpractice. Like you want someone jailed at that point, right?
Yeah, I'm like,
Like that's
what
pretty
the
fucked
hell did
up.
he do, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
anyways, but speaking though of kind of what you were saying with Baumgartner,
Yeah.
and so do you want to maybe kind of switch gears now and talk about the defensive kind of
Absolutely.
structure? Because I think if there was anyone that I would have been okay with firing early in the season, would have been him. And it's because, and like this is going back to last season where I didn't feel like the defensive structure wasn't it it just wasn't great.
Yeah.
You they constantly allowed high chance shots. They allowed teams to just pepper Markstrom with so many shots, right?
Yeah.
Um, and it, just the what do you call it? The adjustments just weren't really there. And since Baumgartner is the one that's responsible for the defenseman, and kind of now seeing him with like new toys to play with Schmidt, and just seeing basically the same stuff that we saw last year, I was getting pretty frustrated with that.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
I do agree with you is that if there was someone to be fired, I would have been okay with it being him because I just haven't seen much in terms of the defensemen, in terms of just them playing better.
I agree. There's been really no progression.
Yeah,
With the defense. Even now, after our winning streak against Ottawa and then beating Winnipeg, which was I felt was a really good test. Winnipeg's a
yeah,
pretty decent team.
yeah,
I know we did better defensively, but the thing is, those gap control situations and
yeah,
also when the D pinch in when they really don't need to. We saw
yeah,
Hamonic do it so many times. Um, and just getting blown by with all these different chances, all these different breakaways, right? And all these different odd man rushes, that really hasn't stopped. Even though our other
yeah,
lines have kind of waken up in our forward lines and we are like outscoring teams like 4-1, 5-1 right now. But the thing is, have this crazy like feeling that our defensive core, they play our entire D actually, they play like an AHL team. And I'm starting to wonder if
mhm,
they're getting coached to play that way. Because
yeah,
my point is this, Baumgartner had a lot of experience in the AHL, right? I know his tenure in the NHL was not long lived,
no,
but at the same time, when I look at the Canucks defense play, they really, really look like they're just ready there to just go up and like, destroy someone along the boards or try to break up a pass, right? But there's no actual adaptation to their game.
yeah,
When a fast winger is coming at them or there's an odd play, right? What do? They just sprawl out. It's a desperation play. Everything is a desperation play at this point. And there's so many odd man rushes, there's no structure, and people are just pinching left, right, and center. I'm like, what are you guys doing, man? This isn't the AHL. You're facing the highest skill in the world right now. You got to be better defensively. And that being said, though, there have been a few positive spots that I've seen,
mhm,
right?
yeah. Like
Um,
what?
Even with Hughes, I thought that Hughes struggled immensely in the beginning, but I
Yeah,
think him and Ben have been a really good pairing. I really
that
like him.
yeah, that's been a surprising pairing because with Ben, I didn't honestly like. I didn't think we had much in him, like in
Yeah,
terms of like him being able to give us productive minutes.
yeah,
Just because like he just wasn't able to kind of find a footing in the lineup, so he was constantly kind of going in and out, in and out.
yeah.
But him and Hughes, I don't know what it is about it, but it just works so well. And
So well.
especially the game against Winnipeg, I just see like Ben had just made so many like just smart, solid plays where he
Yeah,
wasn't forcing the puck to Hughes or kind of like forcing him to make plays. He was a
yeah.
very steady presence back there, and it I think allows Hughes to kind of play his game really well. So yeah, no, that pairing I've
Yeah.
really enjoyed.
No, I 100% agree with there. And to be honest, vice versa as well. Ben gets to play his game and a
Yeah.
much simpler game. He lets Hughes do all the extra shit, right? And he just
Hmm.
sits back and he's kind of like an older brother, right? Just like, all right, you run around, have your fun. I'm gonna make sure everything back here is safe,
Yeah.
and when he gets to play a calm game, it's kind of like Vertanen. When Vertanen's in a situation where he's doing too much, he doesn't do well. But when he gets to play a simple game with the
Yeah.
kind of low IQ situations, he does pretty well, right? But same with Ben. Like he doesn't have to do more than what's expected of him, and he's
Yeah.
thriving off that. It really reminds me of when Hughes first came in. He
Yeah.
was playing alongside the guy that we lost to
Luke
Tampa
Shed.
Bay, Luke Shen. There we
Yeah.
go. At first, I thought, wow, Hughes is this good. He's making Luke Shen look pretty good. But Luke Shen and Ben are quite similar players, I would say. Kind of physical, kind of like, up and down players, kind of defensive, right? Don't really
Yeah.
do too much offensive stuff, right? So
Yeah,
I
same
feel
thing
like,
with Tanov last year.
yeah,
Tanov and Hughes made a great pairing.
yeah.
I feel like Ben is just kind of like slid into that spot, and it like yeah no I think they've been playing really well.
Oh, yeah. One defenseman, though, I feel like is starting to show some age is Edler, right? I don't know if it's because of not enough time and training, right? I think he's been stable. I know
Yeah.
he's been paired up with like Myers or Schmidt mostly, but I feel like he's been I don't know, his age is kind of showing a bit. It seems like he's kind of lost a step.
Yeah.
I still love him as a player. I still think he's amazing. He's the best defensive player the Canucks have ever had, statistically and just like for me personally. But
Yeah.
the thing is, at the same time, right now, I don't know what it is. I think he needs to be paired up with someone a little bit younger, maybe, or let Schmidt do some extra stuff and just kind of more focus on the more back end stuff.
Who is
Um,
he paired up with right now?
I think
Is
he was
it
paired up with Schmidt. Yeah. So
yeah.
they've struggled a bit. I still haven't seen the Schmidt that I'm expecting. I've seen some like inklings
Yeah.
of what I wanted, but it's still not exactly what I have expected of him.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
yeah,
I do agree. I think Schmidt, I think coming into a new team, he had a lot of expectations placed on him, especially a Canadian market.
true.
And I think it's taken him some time to kind of find his game, and I don't think he's found it yet. Don't
No,
get me
me
wrong.
either.
Like I can see glimpses of it, but then there are a lot of times where he's looking very frantic in his own zone,
Yeah,
which has kind of resulted in a lot of high scoring chances for the other team. But I, th- I I think he's one of those players that needed a training camp to kind of settle in with his new team and just kind of figure things out.
agreed.
So I think he's probably like a week to maybe 2 weeks away from really kind of
Yeah,
showing us the Schmidt that we've seen in Vegas.
yeah,
So I think he'll come around. But one player that I kind of wanted to ask you was Myers.
yeah,
He he's been getting a lot of positive reviews
yeah. No,
lately,
honestly,
which has been surprising because Canucks
yeah,
Twitter just like flames him.
yeah.
But I've found his game to be pretty solid.
No,
How
yeah.
have you been finding his game?
No, I would agree. Like there are some so there's some great positives there. There are some negatives there. But the
Yeah,
thing is, I feel like whenever he gets brought up, every Twitter player or every Twitter user becomes an account right away and starts bringing up his cap hit, right?
yeah,
And that's the main reason why they hate him. But the thing is, I feel like he's been our best defenseman. He's creating chances. He's
mm,
broken up a lot
mm,
of plays. I'm not gonna lie, that there's some games where at the end of the game, I think like, like especially before Hughes and Ben were together, there were times when I'm like, you know what? Even though this guy took 5 penalties again this game, right, he
yeah,
was actually our best defenseman. And the way his outbreaks and the way he's bringing the puck up, and the way he's breaking up rushes just with his long ass stick. He's got like a 10-foot stick, right? So,
yeah,
and that's not a metaphor, by the way. But anyways, I feel like he's just been pretty sound overall. The biggest issue is his penalties though, man. He takes like what 4 penalties a game almost, and
yeah.
that kind of like bites us in the ass.
True. Yeah, no, I think his penalties definitely suck. I wish he could kind of stop that, but
Hmm.
overall, I really enjoyed watching him play this year. He's definitely limited his mistakes
Yeah,
and kind of turning the puck over. He still does. Don't
yeah,
get me wrong. He still kind of coughs it up a little bit, but
yeah,
for the most part, his game is a lot more cleaner.
yeah.
And yeah, no, I really enjoyed seeing him play.
Oh
Another
yeah,
one that I wanted to ask you about was Jalen Chatfield.
yeah, dude. That was kind of surprising to be honest. Like
Yeah,
how well he's played in a limited amount of time that he's had. Even
yeah,
last game, I think it was Harmon Dial. He tweeted out, "Okay, Chatfield, I see you." Right? And
yeah,
it's just one of those things where like he broke up an odd man rush by himself, and his skating is just so much better than I thought it would be. Right? And the
yeah,
way he's able to kind of distribute the puck too, and just work with his teammates. I was hoping Levy would have been that guy, just
yeah.
because he's freaking fifth overall pick, but still, it seems to be like Ulevi just doesn't have the foot speed that everyone wants him to have. even though he played pretty decent, but he's averaging like what 8 minutes a game, not even, right?
Yeah.
Chatfield had 17 minutes against Winnipeg. That's trust, man. For your first year
Mhm.
in, the coach is definitely trusting you. So I don't know. I really like the hustle that he brings. I really like how yeah, his mistakes have been very minimal. If he does make one, dude, he's a rookie, right? So
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of eyes on him right now, and I've been impressed. I've been really impressed, to be honest. How about you?
Yeah, me too. And it's kind of funny because like coming into this season,
Hmm.
he wasn't one of those names that we kind of brought up or kind of like a lot of people were talking about. It was like
Yeah.
Levy, Brogan Rafferty,
Yeah.
and then what's the other guy from college?
Oh, what's his name? Something back
Rathbone.
Rathbone. Yeah.
Rathbone. Yeah. So like his name wasn't really kind of talked about.
Yeah.
So it kind of came out of the blue for me.
Yeah.
Um, in the sense that he wasn't like hyped up as the other defensive prospects that we have, but
Hmm.
man, this guy just looks like he belongs. Right? Like just a real steady game, skates well. He thinks the game well, like really fast. Just yeah, man. Like, if he can give us 15 minutes a night, I think that's a huge win for us.
I agree. And to be honest, man, like even when I saw his throughout the entire game, last game, I was thinking like, yo, this guy played a pretty good game. Whenever I
Yeah,
saw him with the puck or whenever I saw him out there, you didn't notice him at times because he was doing the right thing. Especially for a demon, if you don't notice him, that's a good thing. But
yeah,
when you did
exactly.
notice him, it was a good play, and you're like,
Yeah.
damn man, like I do see you, right?
Mm,
But that being said, I don't see Ulevi or even Hamonic. If Chatfield can play this way, I don't see either of those coming back until there's an injury.
yeah, I think that's probably true. Um,
If they take out Ben
yeah.
for Hamonic now, I'd be pissed
No,
off.
no,
Like they're
no.
playing so fucking good.
No, I think Ben has his spot solidified. Unless he like starts screwing up
Yeah,
like big time, I think he's gonna be paired out with Hughes probably for the season.
yeah,
But in terms of when Hamnick or Ulevi might come in, I think depending on how this week goes, because they got like Montreal back to back and then three straight against Toronto. That's a
yeah,
massive test, right? So
yeah,
if things go well, I think Green tends to kind of keep his lineups the same. But I think if they go on a bit of a skid, we can maybe see some of them coming in. But
yeah,
yeah, I don't know, man.
yeah.
Like just in terms of overall, like I've really enjoyed seeing the progress with Jalen Chatfield and just like these like younger prospects and being able to come in and actually give us good minutes as opposed to just these prospects that we've heard about, but they come in like like, these guys are just not ready for the NHL.
Yeah. Speaking of young players giving you good minutes, right? The Lotto Line. you
Mm,
know, Dude, they've been pretty much the most up and down roller coaster situation. They give me more anxiety than the whole, Trump situation with the, raiding the Capitol and all that stuff like that, man. Like just
yeah,
watching them, and they make me so nervous, right? Because when they first started the season, the Lotto Line was so shit. Like literally, they were so bad.
yeah,
You could tell that PD just had zero confidence in his shot. Everything was a pass off, or he was losing his puck, right? But now it kind of feels like the beast is kind of woken up. Ottawa, kind of poked the bear a little bit, and everyone was calling Patterson out. Everyone was saying, "What is wrong with this guy?" Some people were saying on Twitter like they were trying to equate him and Benning being a failure again, right? Saying that
yeah,
we drafted the wrong guy and this and that. And then what do you call him? Miller? Miller was non-existent for the first little while as he tried
yeah.
to get his legs underneath him. I know he was under quarantine for a bit, but one positive I'd say throughout the entire season so far has to be Brock Besser.
Yeah.
Right? Holy shit, dude. This guy is league leading right now with 8 goals. I did
That's
not expect
insane.
that. That's
Yeah,
so
no.
insane.
Seeing kind of where he was last year,
Hmm.
and just kind of where his game was, I
Yeah.
think people weren't sure what we were going to get from him, right? And like we talked about it kind of going into the season,
Yeah.
whether he'd be able to kind of get back to his like rookie season where he was able to score at
Yeah.
will. And like his name had been kind of brought about in terms of the like potential trade rumors and ways for us to kind of get out of these like really bad contracts. But
Yeah.
I'm super glad that we didn't trade him because obviously like this guy he came ready to play. But B, like I don't know what it is about him, but like he just plays such a steady game. Like he's not the fastest skater,
Yeah.
right? Like he's not gonna like wow you about that, but he just knows where to be at all times, and his shot is just so deadly,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
right? Like and just kind of seeing it. back to where it was, man, it's awesome to see. I think, and like this guy's like causing people to like swear at each other on Twitter, man. Like
Yeah.
this guy is just wild.
No, I love it. Um, just with his shot, right? It really feels like it's back to his rookie year. You know,
Yeah.
I didn't
So we're
expect.
not gonna give that guy a shout out.
I don't know, man. So
Okay,
yeah,
fine. We'll just let this one go. But
okay.
if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, just go to Harp's Twitter.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm gonna read it out loud. So and I don't even understand what the fuck I even said, but I lost it. I laughed so hard. I was trying to sweep it under the rug, but since you since you brought it up, all right, let's do this. So after he scored 2 goals against Winnipeg, right? Another 2 goal thing. He took the league with 8 goals. I tweeted out on the 30th of January. I was like, Brock Besser, period. That is all. The first tweet is from the Nature Boy. Right? He said, "Fuck man, you're in your 30s. Get a grip. Who cares?" I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what did I even say to you, or what did I say that's wrong? I have over 40 likes on that just one tweet. This one guy's like, "Go fuck yourself." I'm like, "Fuck you too,
Nature
man."
Boy. If you are listening to this or if you are watching to the podcast, you are welcome to come on anytime.
Yeah. No, that tweet made my day. I laughed so hard and I retweeted it. I liked it. I think you did the same
I
thing,
did,
right?
I did.
That was
It was perfect. But I think okay now like going back, I just have to mention like, that
yeah,
that tweet was so hilarious.
yeah,
Anyways,
yeah.
back to Brock Besser. So I think you were very nervous about him coming into the season and just
Oh yeah.
weren't sure where his game is. So aside from him scoring 8 goals and like leading the league in scoring, what have you been happy with or just surprised by his game so far in the season?
Two major things are sticking out to me right now. Well, I'll say three. First of all, his shot, right?
Mm,
His shot is back, right? And the thing is, people were calling him out and saying that, oh, due to his injuries, he's not going to be able to have a shot again. We haven't seen it in 2 full seasons, pretty much,
yeah,
right? And we've kind of seen a bit of a regression every year, especially because of the injuries. But his shot is back. Like even when I'm watching the replays on those shots, you don't even see the puck fly off his stick, man. You just see it in the net. You hear it ding and it's in the net. I'm like,
yeah,
holy fuck, man! Like this guy's shot is literally back.
yeah,
The second thing's got to be his demeanor. The confidence is there, man. Right when this
mm,
guy walked into the season, pretty much what you said last episode, or the episode that we had with Joel, especially, you
yeah,
said that this guy will have a chip on his shoulder. He has something to prove because
yeah.
people have been calling him out. Like Matt Sakaris, right?
Yeah,
Um, just seeing that swagger around, and when he's on the ice, he's pushing people around. He's getting to loose pucks, like you said. His hockey IQ is so good. He's always in the right areas, the right time. He
yeah,
reminds me of like a younger Toffoli, but just a little more thicker with a better shot, right?
yeah,
And the third thing has got to be his mindset, right? Like he comes in, and even in his interviews, he talks about, he's like, yeah, dude, I had these injuries. I learned from them. I'm more of a mature player. I'm more of an adult now. I know how to handle my body now. I'm not a kid that just get thrown around by all these other adults, right?
yeah,
So I think the combination of those three things, like, oh my God, I called him out. I was one of the people that said, I don't know if he's hit his ceiling because we've only seen regression
yeah,
now.
yeah.
But this year, no, definitely, he's fucking back, man. He came back with a chip on his shoulder, and he has lit it up. And I'm hoping that he continues this because, like I said before, I didn't have much faith in him to come back, but I love him as a player. I love his story. I love his family. I've met his family, and I've been rooting for this guy from day one. And I'm so happy that he's proven me wrong. And even at that time, I said I hope that he does. How about you?
Yeah, no, I've um like I understand your reservations with him coming into the season because like that is a good point. Like every year since his rookie year, we've seen a slow regression.
Yeah,
And a lot of it is due to his injuries that he's had with his wrist injuries, back injuries, right?
yeah,
And like a bunch of family issues. Like these guys are human, right? They like this stuff affects them, or like whether we want them to affect them or not. Like this shit does affect them, right? When like they're like dad's not doing well, or like they're like family member, like it affects them. So he's had a lot of that stuff basically from his like rookie season on. So
yeah,
seeing him come in into this season ready, like ready to go, I've loved it. And I know his name was talked about a lot during like the off season in terms of potential trade options for the Canucks. But
oh
like,
yeah,
dude, this guy's so young, right? And I understand like we want these guys to be able to produce year after year, and like it's the same thing that like PD is going through, where like people are expecting him to put like 2-3 points every game, right? Because this is what we expect from him now, because that's what he
Yeah.
did last year. But like these guys are still young; they're still figuring out their games, and now other teams are able to target them because they saw them last year. Like these guys are not gonna like surprise the team anymore, because like these guys are now household names. So
Yeah.
I
My,
understand.
my question is this though. Sorry to cut you
Yeah,
off,
yeah,
but it seems like if Besser kind of had a bit of an awakening, right? Like like the Besser that's coming this season,
yeah.
I did not expect to see. But even just the way he carries himself and what we're kind of seeing from him
Mm.
is dope. Like I'm so freaking excited for this guy. But the thing is this, it kind of seems like he's kind of entering his prime now, right?
Really
If
think so?
yeah, like if this season
Mm.
he like think about it though, like he was drafted what in 2015, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's been 6 years now, right? And the thing
Yeah,
is, and he's like what 22, 23 now.
yeah,
I would say the prime is between like a 22, 23 to like 28-ish, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, so if this guy's starting to enter that, and from what I'm seeing, I feel like he could be, do you think we have the supporting cast around him to with PD? Because PD seems like he's still a little slow. Miller still seems like a little slow right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think PD's even close to his prime yet, right?
Yeah,
Do
no.
you think the timing will be decent enough for us to actually use his prime to make a push?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think you know what, like when you said it, I thought you were saying that he is in his prime, like in the
Oh no
middle of his
no,
prime.
yeah
So I think you are right that he's starting to enter his prime, his like
yeah
prime window of like 5-6 years, just like productive years.
yeah
I think in the next 2 years, I think is when PD will be hitting his stride.
yeah.
So I think those two will be amazing together, and I think we'll be able to do some great things. The only thing that I have questions about is Miller,
Yeah,
right?
he's
Because
older, man.
he is, I think he's in his early 30s, if I might be, or maybe late 20s, but
Yeah,
he's the, he's the only one that I'm not sure will be able to kind of keep up with those two,
yeah,
right? And if he's not the one, I mean, like we do have Paul Cozen coming up the ranks.
yeah.
Um, Hoglander's been crazy, so like we do have wingers that might be able to supplement those two. But I think PD and Besser together, I think their primes will coincide, and I think we will be able to take advantage of Besser's prime years.
No, I agree, and you make a good point, man. I think that there's enough time, right?
Yeah,
If something doesn't blow up, I'm kind of worried about contracts moving into next season and the season after that, right? Because then, because Pete and Hughes are due next year, and then
yeah,
Besser is due the year after again,
yeah,
right? So I'm just kind of wondering how things are gonna play out. But that being said, you make a good point. We got
yeah,
time on our hands right now, especially
yeah.
with our main core. I'm hoping that works out. But I just want to touch up on Hoglander a bit.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
holy shit, man. Like I did not expect this guy. This guy has a motor. He's 5'9". He's almost 200 pounds. This guy's got a motor. He has better board work than Myers, right? This
Yeah.
guy is amazing with his tenacity and just his willingness to get to the puck. And the goal he scored against Winnipeg just showed off his skill. You know, he batted out of the air right to the left corner. I'm like, holy shit, man. What are your thoughts on this guy?
I'm surprised, man. Like
Yeah,
I knew he was hyped.
yeah,
Like he had crazy highlight goals, but I wasn't sure if there was any more to that than
yeah,
just his highlight goals, right? Because we've seen a lot of prospects that have had these types of crazy highlight goals, but
yeah,
their complete game just wasn't there, right?
yeah.
Um, I've been blown away, man. Like the fact that this guy is willing and like able to go into the corners and win these puck battles, given his
Yeah,
size,
yeah,
he's probably our best power forward,
yeah, yeah.
right?
Take a note, Bertanen.
That's supposed to be Vertanen, but it's
Yeah,
clearly this guy. And to this guy's legit.
yeah.
He's going to be with us for a long time, like a long time, and like putting up points, man. This I don't know where Benning and his whole scouting department keeps finding these guys, but
Yeah,
man, we might have another one this year.
dude, dude. Well, in the game one, I can't remember who it was, but they said they're like, "Oh, not another one." Right? I was like, "Fuck yeah!"
Another
Right?
one,
This is
man. Yeah.
awesome, dude. We picked him 40th overall, and he right now already he's in the top, I believe, five for scoring in his year, or
Wow.
top two. And right now he is tied for first in goals for rookies. So
Yeah.
that's nuts. You know, this guy wasn't even selected in the first round. So
Yeah. I mean, like
yeah,
I wasn't surprised with his early start. just because he had a lot of games under his belt coming into the season.
Yeah.
The only thing that I'm not sure, and I'm hoping he proves me wrong. The only thing I'm a bit skeptical is whether he'll be able to keep up with this tight compressed schedule, because there's a
Yeah.
lot of games he's not used to these many games.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing that I'm a bit worried about. But so far, man, like he's been like the perfect winger for Bo. Like he finally has like a legit winger.
Oh yeah.
And just kind of seeing that line with like Bo, his like his shot in that bumper. Not well, is he in the bumper or in the bumper is what I think Besser plays.
Yeah. Yeah. Down low.
Bo's in the middle, but his shot in
Yeah.
that slot, man, it's so good.
It's really good, and he gets
Like,
off so quickly too. He's
yeah,
so fast.
I just wanted to quickly mention that, but I've been really surprised with that shot. But back to
Yeah.
Hoglander though, just love it, man. I hope he's able to keep it up. He's been a bright surprise for us, man.
You make a good point about just keeping himself healthy and being able to play out the season, right?
Yeah,
Especially with the way his Tinder profile is probably blowing up and on Twitter. I'm hoping he's able to reserve some of the energy, right? And hopefully more stuff get leaked out on Twitter just so we can kind of laugh about it. But yeah. So moving on though, man. One player that we all we just never seem to stop talking about this guy, right? And
mm,
speaking of power forwards, even though he has over a foot and a half over Hoglander,
yeah.
um, a much stronger, I say, Vertanen, man. This guy's not even playing. He's been healthy scratch for 2 games straight, right? And Gadet's back in the lineup. What's going on with this guy, man? Are we done? Are we done with this kid?
Well, if you talk to Green,
Yeah,
he says that he just needs time to kind of work it out. But I think Green's done with him.
yeah,
I think Green's tried all he can.
yeah,
He's given him a lot of shots at playing in the top six, playing like big minutes, but there's just something about it that he's just not figuring out. Like,
yeah,
and it's not even the like complex stuff in terms of like his like IQ. It just he skates for the show of it, but he
yeah,
doesn't skate to like do something. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And then like he'll just go hit someone, but then like he'll just hit the boards, right? Like
yeah,
it's a lot of fake minutes that he's been putting together. And
yeah,
yeah, he scored a goal against Calgary, but it was like deflected off someone. It was kind of a lucky goal, but
yeah,
man, just it's so frustrated because this guy just has so much promise. If
yeah,
like he could be Hoglander if he just tries at it, but he just doesn't get it. And I think it's probably time to kind of cut our ties with him now,
mm-hmm.
before things get worse. In the sense that he just has no trade value.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's kind of where I'm at with it. What about you?
I would agree. This guy is just so frustrating to watch. You said fake minutes right now. That's a really good way to explain it. He's out there and he's just kind of skating around and kind of pretending like he's doing something. He's
Yeah,
kind of like the person you work with that kind of walks around and waves the paper around and just shows that
he's
like,
like me.
oh,
He's
yeah,
like me at work. He's like me
yeah,
at work.
like just notice the fact that I'm here, but I'm
Yeah,
not really doing anything, right? So,
yeah,
yeah, he's not pushing the needle at all.
mhm,
And especially on a third line pairing or the third line, in a checking role even in a third line, the IQ is not there. You see people like Mott ripping it up. Mott has like what 5-6 goals already.
yeah,
You see players like Roussel and Sutter outplaying this guy, and this guy's supposed to be younger, much more skilled, much more better than these players, right? So I'm pretty frustrated, and to be honest, I'm think I'm done. But that being said, it seems like there are a few trade rumors that have kind of gone around, right? One that I heard, I think it was Vertanen for what was it, Kirby Doc?
Ooh, I didn't hear that one.
Yeah. So I think there's a bit of an issue there as well, and I
Oh,
think
interesting.
yeah, I have to double check to see if that's the right name, but
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it is. But I think that yeah, there's some players saying that that could just be a straight up switch.
Yeah, I'm surprised by that name because
Yeah.
I haven't heard that one. But yeah, no, I think this past weekend we've heard a lot of names of players that are not happy with their current situation. With Sam Bennett in Calgary,
Yeah,
he
that's a big one that I heard. Yeah.
he's requested a trade. And then you have the guy from Montreal, the defenseman
Oh
Mete,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
whatever name,
yeah,
Mete, I think it is. He's also requested a trade. So in terms of like, so I've heard rumors for both those players for Bertanen. I think Sam Bennett for Bertanen, I don't think makes a lot of sense in the sense that I think the reason why Sam Bennett is unhappy in Calgary is because he's playing on the third line. I think he wants top 6 minutes.
Yeah.
And if he comes here, he's not going to get those top 6 minutes. So
No.
I think that trade doesn't make sense. I think Mete, I think that would be interesting because he's a pretty young prospect on defense.
Yeah.
And that's a position of need for us. So I think that's a trade that I think would be intriguing. I
Hmm.
just don't know what we would have to add. But the trade for me that kind of gets me going the most is Vince Dunn from the St. Louis Blues.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
a defenseman there. He's really good. But the rumor out of St. Louis, even though he's been scratched to start the season, is that they want a first and a prospect for him.
Damn.
But
That's
but
hefty.
and I've heard that's the name that Vancouver is after most.
Wow.
So I think if we could pull Vertanen for Vince Dunn and not maybe give up a first or a second, I think would be a win. I think a Vertanen and a third for Vince Dunn, I would do that now because I
Yeah.
think Vince Dunn is legit. Watching him in the playoffs last year against Canucks, I think he was a pretty solid defenseman. Granted, Blues never had a great playoff run against Canucks, but
Yeah.
he had a great year last year. Vince did, and I think he would be a huge add for us.
Oh, do you know how much Vince Dunn's making right now? Because I know that's always the problem, right?
Boy, I have no idea.
Yeah. I think he's. Oh. Um.
I don't think it's crazy.
Yeah.
I
It's around 2 million.
yeah, I don't think it's anything crazy.
That's
So
crazy.
yeah, so I think I think if we can flip Vertanen, I would prefer it being on defense than on forward.
Yeah. And to be honest, I wouldn't mind 18-year-old Bennett, right? But the thing is, I
He's
think
not
that
18 anymore.
what? But I know I think the Vince Dunn one that definitely sticks out to me the most as well. He would definitely he probably make Chatfield sit, right? Or Ben, right? But the thing is,
And
I don't
I'm
know.
okay with that because
Yeah,
I think that's a position that we need depth, right?
yeah,
As like Bosherdo would say, is like you need an army, right?
yeah,
Like you like just because you have one great player doesn't mean you have a team. You need to keep stacking the depth. So
absolutely.
whether like if it is that Chatfield sits or Ben has to sit, like whoever, I think if we can get done out of St. Louis would be a huge win. But the only thing that sucks right now though is like, and we're kind of seeing it with the Dubois for Lane trade, is that 14-day quarantine. Because when did they make that trade for Dubois? Like a week ago, and he's still not playing for the Jets, right?
True.
So
But you know what? If it's Vertanen, he's sitting anyways. Who gives a shit,
that's
right?
true.
Like nothing really changes
Yeah,
for us, right? We're just gonna
good
wait a
point.
little bit and then get excited, right? So I
Yeah.
think that makes sense to get rid of this guy. And to be honest, on a personal level, I'm done too. Like this guy, he doesn't have the IQ. He doesn't have the um, desire to really, take that
But
on. So,
just like about the whole IQ, like he did score 18 goals last year.
but to be honest, man, like how many of those goals seem kind of circumstantial, right? Like
Yeah.
he comes in, he'll shoot it and might bounce around. Even in the playoffs, he had a few goals, and they were literally like he was literally behind the net, and he just deflected off the goalie or something, right? I know he
Yeah.
had a goal like that against the Wild, so um, but it just he doesn't really know where to be, and he doesn't really know how to like if he has the puck alone, he's skating out there, fine. But it's a team game, and he doesn't really know how to work with other players. And when he was on the top line, because Miller wasn't in for a while, right? Miller
Yeah.
was in quarantine. He didn't know what he was doing out there, you know. And to be honest, I don't want to hate on this guy. He's still young. He's still a kid. He's an Abbey guy, a local prospect. But the thing is, this man, enough is enough. You know, I think now it's time to cut ties and just let him go
Hmm.
his way, and try to get something out of him. If we can, the thing is this though, would you be willing to trade a first and Bertanen for Vince Dunn,
No.
considering this draft this year is not supposed to be as deep as the last previous few years.
Yeah, I mean that is true. The draft isn't as great, but while I do like Vince Dunn, I don't know if he's worth a first and
True.
Vertanen.
Yeah.
Um,
I give
because
up a second.
Vertanen is still very young.
Yeah.
Second, yeah, like that you can convince me, sure,
Yeah.
but giving up a first. I mean, granted, I wasn't on board with giving up a first for JT Miller, and I was like
Yeah.
wrong about that one. So,
Yeah.
um,
As usual. Not good.
so like I do like Dunn. I just don't know if he's worth a prospect and a first. And I've
Yeah.
heard from what I've kind of read is that like they're not getting that many calls because of that ask for a first. So
Yeah.
if they take their ask down, not ask down.
I was hard asking like that.
um,
Damn,
I
Benny.
I think a second or a third plus Britannia I think would be a good get.
So
Yeah.
cool, man. You know what? I think that pretty much covers it for the past few weeks. We're facing Montreal and then, Toronto. This is a
Yeah.
huge Eastern swing, and I'm excited for every game. But the thing is, I'm kind of nervous to face up against these teams as well. Montreal's killing it right now, and Toronto's doing very well too. These are very deep, deep teams, right? And I think they're 1 and 2 in our division right now. So
Yeah.
hopefully we can pull out a few wins, or we can, win every single game. That'd be awesome. But
Yeah.
I think that the Canucks are getting better and better each game.
Yeah.
The Lotto Line has definitely woken up, and I feel like there's still some things that need to click. But I think when that does happen, we are going to be one of the top guns in this division. Hopefully, it happens tomorrow, right?
Agreed. No, man. I think this week is very important, but I don't like i- if they go like 2-5, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah,
Like you said, like they just need to keep building. Like it's not about how you start; it's about how you finish.
true.
And they just need to keep building week after week and making
Yeah,
sure that they're ready. Um, like yeah, it's important for them to keep getting points, but they just gotta play well. And but yeah, no, this is a huge week. They're going up against, like you said,
shit.
top two teams in our division. So, just a quick question for you:
Yeah.
is it just me, or are you just not caring about what's going on with these like other games? Like for me, it's just about this Canadian division. Like I don't
Yeah,
care what Minnesota's doing, what
yeah.
Vegas is doing. Like have you been keeping up with those scores? And
Not at all, man. I don't give a
yeah,
shit. Like for me, this is just a Canadian league right now. I don't even
I
pretend there's
know.
American teams right now. So fuck them.
Okay, yeah. Not that it was just me, but I'm like, I have no idea what the hell Tampa is doing right now, and
Yeah.
I don't care. It's just these 17 teams. That's it.
It's just so damn exciting. Every game is just such a nail biter. We
Yeah.
get to watch such amazing talent like McDavid and Matthews and all these other guys, right? And it's so exciting to see. But the thing is, the fact that they're Canadian, it just adds another element, right? And
Yeah.
I don't give a shit about America right now, man. They're dealing with enough shit right now, so they don't even need to worry about them either.
That is true. Okay. Yeah. I just
All
wanted to
right,
ask.
man.
All right, man.
Till next time, peace out, dude.